He just took morning walks, quietly and alone. But when his family tried to force him into a nursing home, he made a move that shook the entire town. What happened next left them speechless. You ever get the feeling that life is playing a cruel little joke on you? Like you wake up one morning thinking, you know what? I've still got a good heart, a little strength left in these knees, and a few kind things to offer this world. And that same world turns around, spits in your face, and tells you to take your good heart and shove it? Yeah, that was pretty much my Tuesday. I'm Frank, 72, retired school janitor, grandfather of 3, and, if you ask me, still one hell of a cook. My secret? A half-hour walk every morning, rain, snow, global economic collapse, it didn't matter. I did it anyway. Why? Because it was the only time of day I wasn't being talked over, looked past, or flat-out ignored. And on this particular morning, I wasn't just walking, I was delivering soup. Homemade, my recipe. Low sodium, high flavor. For a neighbor named Annie, whose bones sounded like someone rolling bubble wrap every time she stood up. She didn't ask, I just did it. Because that's the kind of guy I am. Kindness doesn't have to ask permission. I rang her doorbell and left the thermos on the step with a note. Soup's on. Call me if you need help reaching the remote again. Frank. I didn't even wait around to see her face. I wasn't fishing for a medal. Just thought, maybe, in a world filled with scrolling thumbs and noise, a quiet act might still matter. I got home 15 minutes later to find my daughter parked in my driveway like a cop staking out a suspect. Now, let me tell you something about Susan. She used to be sweet. I remember a time she'd sit in my lap and ask if I believed in angels. These days, she talks to me like I'm a bad internet connection. She can't wait to unplug. She didn't even say hello. You went outside again without your phone? I blinked. I was walking, not applying for a bank loan. She stared at me like I'd just confessed to robbing a pharmacy. What if you had fallen? What if your heart gave out? You're not young anymore, Dad. Oh, thank you for the reminder. I almost forgot my knees creak louder than your SUV. She wasn't laughing. Then came the part I didn't expect. I talked to Kevin, she said. We think it's time you considered assisted living. You know that sound in your chest when your heart skips a beat, but not in a good way? Like it's gasping for emotional oxygen? That. You and your husband talked, I repeated slowly. About sending me away? She crossed her arms. It's not sending you away. It's giving you a safer environment, a community with help, support. Oh, sure, and a 5-digit bill with my name on it. I forced a smile. So, I make one bowl of soup for a neighbor, and suddenly I'm an at-risk liability? Her face turned pink. It's not just the soup, Dad. It's everything. You're isolated. You're behind on your hearing checks. And the last time we came over, the milk in your fridge was expired. Well, excuse me for not hosting a Martha Stewart episode in my damn kitchen. I didn't raise my voice. Not because I wasn't angry, I was. But because I've learned over the years that yelling at a brick wall only makes your own throat sore. Instead, I nodded slowly. You think I'm losing it? She shifted. We're worried, okay? You live alone. You don't ask for help. And walking around at 6 in the morning with no phone, it's reckless. You know what else is reckless? Throwing away your parent like a busted lawn chair just because he prefers real conversations over texting gifs of cats in sunglasses. But I didn't say that. Instead, I asked her one question. Do I look dead to you? That stopped her for a second. A flicker of guilt. Maybe even humanity. But it vanished as fast as it came. Just think about it, Dad. Please. Kevin found a place near their office. They have game nights, bocce ball. You'd love it. Sure, because nothing says dignity like being herded into an air-conditioned cage to play checkers between blood pressure screenings. She left without hugging me. I stood in the doorway, soup still warm in my chest, watching her tail lights disappear like hope on a cold day. And then I sat down on the porch and asked myself the real question. When did doing good become a reason to be locked away? Let me be clear. This wasn't the first time they tried to clip my wings. But something about today burned deeper. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't ranting. I wasn't in danger. I was just inconvenient. And it didn't stop there. That afternoon, I went to the community center, my weekly chess game with Arnold. He's 83, mostly blind in one eye, but still sharp as a razor. Only he wasn't there. A lady at the front desk gave me a look like I'd walked in without pants. "Oh, didn't you hear?" she said. "Arnold's family moved him to a care facility upstate. Said it was time." Time? Like he was milk? I went home feeling like someone had swapped the world I knew for a knockoff version. Cheap, cold, and indifferent. And then I saw it. A flyer, shoved under my door. Get help now. Senior Wellness Outreach. Protect your loved ones. With a stock photo of a frail man in a wheelchair looking off into the distance like someone had stolen his memories. Was that what they saw when they looked at me? Because when I looked in the mirror that night, I saw a man who still had fire in his eyes. Wrinkles, sure. Slower feet, maybe. But fire? Damn right. And if they thought I'd go quietly, they clearly forgot who raised them. Let me tell you something. You want to live to 90? You want to hold on to your pride, your mind, and your goddamn name? Then walk, every day, even if the world tries to chain you to a rocking chair. We're just getting started. What happened next changed everything. You won't want to miss how deep this injustice goes. Stay with me. The storm is just beginning. You'd think after raising a kid, paying off a mortgage, surviving 2 presidential assassinations and 3 recessions, a man could be allowed to enjoy his soup in peace. But no. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my landline. Yes, I still have one, shrieking like a fire alarm with an attitude. It was Kevin, my daughter's husband, a man whose idea of a personality is quoting articles he half read on his phone and finishing sentences with, "according to experts." "Frank," he said, without even a "how do you do," "we'd love to swing by this Saturday and take you to lunch." Take me to lunch? This from a man who once called my pot roast rustic and suggested I try quinoa. If he wanted a peaceful lunch, why was he inviting the war? "What's the occasion?" I asked, already knowing. He cleared his throat. "We just want to talk about some options." Ah, yes. Options. The adult word for "we've already decided." I told him I'd think about it. Then I did what any rational man would do in a moment of subtle warfare. I went for my walk, my daily rebellion. The wind was sharp that morning, sharp like a slap in the face. I walked faster. You know what walking does for me? It reminds me I'm still here, that I'm not just a piece of paperwork in someone's health care binder, that I'm not just someone they call when they need a babysitter, or someone to sign a birthday card on behalf of the grandkids who don't remember my birthday. But something was different that morning. The looks. It started with Linda, the woman who runs the bakery 2 blocks down. Usually, she waves. That day, she looked at me like I'd peed in her sourdough. Then, at the post office, a man offered to help me open the door. "Thanks," I said, "but I've been opening doors since before you were born." He smiled nervously, like I'd insulted him. Then he said, There's no shame in needing help, sir. Sir. That's the word they use when they're trying to ease you out of your own life. That afternoon, Susan called again. This time, it was a check-in. She wanted to know if I'd been drinking enough water. I told her I was fine. She didn't believe me. "We're just looking out for you, Dad," she said. "It's not about control." Which, of course, meant it was exactly about control. Then came the email. Subject: Urgent. Living arrangement discussion. From Kevin Marshall. To Family Group. Chat. Me, Susan, Kevin, and, God help me, my grandson, Ethan. Frank, we've spoken with the team at Silver Pines Community. They've agreed to offer you a personal tour this Sunday. They have open slots. It's clean, safe, and surrounded by caring professionals. We'd like you to just visit. No pressure. No pressure? That's like telling someone they're not being fired. They're just being repositioned with dignity. I didn't respond. Instead, I started planning. No, not some grand escape or protest. I planned a dinner, my house, my rules. One last supper with all of them, just to remind them I still had a spine, before they stuck me somewhere with padded hallways and daily bingo. I cooked my famous stuffed chicken thighs, mashed potatoes from scratch, and even opened a bottle of the wine Susan gave me years ago for a special occasion. Well, hell, what's more special than confronting the people who are trying to erase you? They arrived exactly on time. Kevin in his neatly pressed khakis, Susan with her concerned expression, and Ethan wearing headphones like real life was an inconvenience. I welcomed them in. We ate. We laughed a little. Awkward, polite, empty laughter. Then Susan cleared her throat. "Dad," she said, "we want to talk about your future." I wiped my mouth. "You mean the part where I sit in a room full of strangers watching daytime TV until I forget my own name?" Kevin tried to smile. "It's not like that." "No," I said, "because that's exactly how it sounds." Susan's eyes glistened. "We just want you to be safe. You're alone too much. You don't ask for help. That's not healthy." I leaned forward. Since when did independence become a symptom? They both went quiet. Ethan, who hadn't looked up all evening, finally spoke. "Grandpa, are you dying or something?" I blinked. "What?" "That's what Mom said, that you were showing signs." I stared at Susan. "Signs?" She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "You forget things, Dad. You repeat stories. You leave food out. You walk alone. You're different. Different." That word landed like a cold slap. Not sick, not fragile, just different. And somehow that justified exile. I stood up. "You know what I do every morning?" They looked confused. "I walk, rain or shine. I walk because that's how I keep my head straight. That's how I remember who I am. And every day, I get back to this house, still breathing, still thinking, still caring enough to make soup for people you don't even know. But sure, let's focus on the spoiled milk." Kevin stood too. "Frank, we're not attacking you." "No," I said. "You're burying me early and calling it love." The room fell into a silence so dense it could crack. And then something snapped in me. "You want to know what keeps people alive into their 90s? I asked, voice low but sharp. "It's not handrails in the bathroom. It's not pill organizers and scheduled check-ins. It's the fire. The stubborn belief that you still matter. That you're still in charge of your own goddamn life." Kevin looked away. Ethan unplugged his headphones. Susan looked like she might cry, but for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel sorry about that. They left early, didn't even take the leftovers. After the door closed, I poured myself the last of that wine and stood by the window, watching the streetlight flicker like a dying pulse. The world had gotten colder. Not the weather, the people. They call it love when they try to silence you. They call it care when they strip away your dignity. But I'm not going down like that. Not without one hell of a fight. This is the turning point. Everything you've waited for, it's here. Stick around, because what comes next will flip everything upside down. You won't believe how the hero flips the script. You ever feel like you're shouting into a canyon and all you hear back is your own echo? That's what it felt like the next morning. My little speech, my so-called moment of truth, landed like a feather on concrete. No reply, no call, not even a guilt text from Susan. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was deliberate, like I'd become radioactive. I spent most of that morning pacing my kitchen, muttering to myself like a lunatic, spooning cold mashed potatoes into my mouth just to feel something. The house felt like a waiting room. Not for the doctor, for my own damn disappearance. Then the mail arrived, and with it, a certified envelope. Inside was a glossy brochure, Silver Pines Senior Living, in color, smiling white-haired people holding hands in garden paths like an AARP dating commercial. Attached was a sticky note. Just in case you reconsider. We love you. S&K. Oh, so now it's a silent coup with pastel visuals. You know what it reminded me of? Funeral prep catalogs. Only instead of coffins, they sell you sunsets and memory support wings. I tore it up and went walking. But this time, I didn't take my usual route. I needed distance. Somewhere I didn't know every crack in the pavement. Somewhere my footprints hadn't already been dismissed as old man patterns. So I walked east, across Main, past the park, past the pharmacy, into the part of town where young couples push strollers and wear workout gear that costs more than my monthly utilities. And there I saw her. Annie, the woman I made soup for. She was sitting on a bench, bundled up, struggling with a thermos I'd recognize anywhere. My thermos. I sat beside her. Tough lid? She looked up, startled, then smiled, soft and tired. You again? Guilty. She handed me the thermos without a word. I cracked it open and passed it back. She took a sip. I've been thinking about your soup, she said. It's the only thing lately that tastes like something. I nodded. You know they want to put me in a home? She laughed, not politely, loud and full. What? I asked. They've been trying to do the same to me for 2 years. My niece calls every Sunday. Have you fallen this week, Aunt Annie? I started lying. Told her I took up jujitsu. We both chuckled. Then we just sat, in silence, the kind that feels like a blanket, not a wall. Then she said something I'll never forget. Dignity isn't a diagnosis, Frank, but they treat it like one. Boom. There it was. Truth in 6 words. I walked her home. She didn't need my help. But we walked together, like people who weren't dead yet. That night, something clicked in me. I pulled out my old typewriter. Yeah, typewriter. Manual, dusty, faithful. And I wrote. Not a letter. Not a complaint. A manifesto. The Walking Rebellion. A senior's guide to staying the hell alive. Page 1. They want to bury us before we're dead. But we walk. We walk until our souls wear thin, and our hearts beat loud enough to drown out their condescension. I kept writing. Through the night. Through the aches. Through the anger. Then I printed copies. 10 of them. And at sunrise, I walked again. But this time, I handed them out. To Hal, the barber with arthritis who still cuts hair with military precision. To Darlene, the widow who organizes the church rummage sale and knows every price tag by heart. To Joe, the Korean war vet who says 3 words a day and makes all of them count. They read it, and then they passed it on. And just like that, a spark caught fire. At first it was just talk, a few neighbors nodding, mumbling, "Damn right," over their coffee. But by week's end, they showed up, at the park, at 6 a.m., to walk, with me. Annie wore a hat that said, "Still kicking." Joe wore boots that hadn't been polished since Nixon. Darlene had a t-shirt that read, "Not fragile, just vintage." We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. People stared. Let them. We were a parade of the dismissed, a procession of defiance. The next day, even more came, some with walkers, some with canes. One guy brought a goddamn oxygen tank. But he walked. Then came the news van. Apparently, someone's granddaughter posted a video of us online with the caption, "My grandpa joined a senior rebellion." They walk at dawn. He's never looked happier. The segment aired Tuesday night. Seniors fight back, one step at a time. That's when Susan called. I didn't answer. But her voicemail? "Dad, I saw you on the news. You looked good. I didn't realize how much this mattered to you. I'm sorry." I didn't delete the message, but I didn't return it either. Because this wasn't about apologies anymore. It was about the fire. About proving I still had say in my own damn life. And then, on Friday, it happened. I got a letter. Real mail. From Silver Pines. Not from Kevin. From the facility itself. "We would like to formally rescind our invitation due to unexpected community attention and resource shifts. We thank you for your time." Translation? I embarrassed them. I made aging visible, loud, unignorable. And guess what? I wasn't done yet. Because dignity doesn't come with a retirement date. And if walking every morning was the one thing that reminded me of that, then hell, I'd walk until the pavement split beneath me. This is the climax. You've seen the fight rise, but the story's not over yet. What happens when the family sees what dignity really looks like? Stay tuned for the final chapter, because the victory is just beginning. It's funny what happens when people see you on television. Neighbors who used to squint through their blinds now waved when I walked by. The kid who once called me creepy grandpa while skateboarding down my sidewalk asked for a selfie. Even Linda at the bakery, who once looked at me like I'd stolen her sourdough starter, handed me a croissant on the house. All because I walked. Not marched. Not shouted. Just walked. It was as if my steps whispered something they'd all forgotten. We're still here. By the second week, there were nearly 50 of us. Seniors from across the town. Former nurses, mechanics, teachers, veterans. A retired circus performer named Earl who juggled tennis balls at crosswalks and told inappropriate jokes louder than traffic. We were the walking rebellion. No sign-ups, no dues, just legs and pride. Some people said we looked like a protest. Others said we looked like a funeral that took a wrong turn. But to us, we looked like hope on foot. Then, one morning, I saw something I never expected. Susan. She was standing on the edge of the park path in workout clothes that still had creases from the department store hanger. I slowed down. She looked unsure, out of place. But she was there. "Walk with me," I said. She hesitated, then fell in step. We didn't speak for the first few blocks. The rhythm of walking filled the silence, step after step. Two people trying to remember how to be family. Finally, she exhaled. "I was wrong, Dad." I said nothing. "I thought taking control of your life meant protecting it, but I forgot that sometimes living means refusing to be protected." I stopped. She looked at me, eyes glassy. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Scared of losing you. Of waking up one day and realizing I pushed you away, thinking I was keeping you safe. Now that hit. Not because it was perfect, not because it fixed things, but because it was real." I nodded. "You're not the only one who's scared, sweetheart." I'm scared of fading out while everyone thinks I'm already gone. Her shoulders sank. And then, slowly, she reached over and took my hand. We walked the rest of the path that way. When we got back to my house, she didn't try to tidy up, didn't comment on the outdated curtains or my still fanatical devotion to VHS tapes. She just sat with me, talked, listened. Then she said, "Kevin wants to come next time. And Ethan, too." I smirked. "Tell them to bring sneakers. This ain't a parade." Over the next few weeks, things didn't magically fix themselves. Kevin still made me want to hurl a shoe across the room with his passive-aggressive suggestions. Ethan still spent more time on his phone than looking at the sky, but they showed up. And you know what? They walked. Ethan posted a video of us with the caption, "Grandpa started a movement." Literally. It got over 200,000 likes. More importantly, it got attention. The mayor invited me to speak at a town council meeting. I wore my one good blazer and read from a napkin I scribbled on that morning at the bakery. I told them we didn't want special treatment. We wanted to be seen, to be heard, to not be filed away as too slow or too much trouble. I finished with this. Old age isn't a diagnosis. It's a badge. And if you're lucky, you'll earn it too. So stop locking us in silence. Walk with us. Or at the very least, don't get in our way. People stood, clapped. Some even cried. I didn't need the applause, but damn, it felt good. The next morning, I walked like I always did. Same path, same shoes, same body. But something had shifted. Neighbors nodded respectfully. A boy high-fived me. The pharmacist waved from across the street, and when I reached Annie's house, she was already outside waiting. "You ready?" she asked. I smiled. Born ready. As we stepped forward, she said, "You think this is what keeps us alive?" I thought about that, about the soup, the fight, the pain, the walk. "No," I said. "I think this is what keeps us living." And I meant every word. We kept walking, day after day. Some of us got slower. Some needed help. But no one stopped. Because it wasn't about speed, or distance, or calories burned. It was about claiming our space. About waking up every morning and saying, "Not today. You don't get to erase me today." So if you're reading this, wondering if it matters, if walking at sunrise means anything, if soup on a porch step changes the world, if standing up when everyone's trying to sit you down is worth the trouble. Let me be clear. It matters. Every damn step. Moral of the story. Kindness does not expire with age. Dignity is not something to be granted. It is something to be protected. And walking, simple, stubborn, defiant walking, can be a revolution.